Alright, let's use Mechanical Turk to do some customer interviews. So, first thing we're going to do is go to requester.mturk.com, and you'll see that I've already signed in here. If you haven't, it will ask you to at some point. So, we're going to create our first hit right now, and we can just go into New Project, and then I'm going to select Other, scroll down, and hit Create Project. Now my project is basically a template for all of my hits, and I'm going to call this project, this is an internal name, so I can say customer interviews, and I'll say daycare, and then the title. Now this is what the Turkers, the people doing the work, are going to see when they're searching for hits to complete. So I'll say phone interview with daycare parents. Description. I think I already have one in here. Let's just take a 5-minute phone review with parents who have kids in daycare. Perfect. Keywords. Now these are, people might have searches going on for new hits that come up, so let's make it easy for them to find our hit. Interview, phone, survey, parents, kids, daycare. Time allotted per assignment. So when a hit is published, a Turker can assign the hit to themselves, and this property is how long they have to complete that hit before it goes back into the pool for someone else to do. Now it won't take an hour to actually do the interview, but it could take an hour for us to get a hold of one another and to actually complete the interview. So imagine a scenario where multiple people have requested to complete this hit, and they call me at the same time. One person's going to get a busy signal, and I want to be able to give that person a chance to call back later. So I leave it at an hour. Hit expires in. Now what this means is I'm going to publish this hit on the web for people to complete, and the question is, how long do I want people to be able to successfully complete this task? If I leave it at 7 days, people could be calling me over the next week, and I don't want that. So instead, I'm going to say I'm going to dedicate the next 4 hours to doing interviews. So if at any point over the next 4 hours someone wants to call me, then they can. This hit will be available for them to accept and complete. Mechanical Turk Masters, don't worry about that, doesn't apply. Additional qualifications. So here you can basically say, I only want people who have completed X percentage of hits and gotten approved 95% of the time. For our purposes, because we're doing a phone interview, this isn't quite as important. If we were doing a survey where we were concerned about people just randomly clicking buttons and flying through a survey and not answering it earnestly, then we'd want to keep these qualifications in to keep out the riffraff. But since we're doing a phone interview and we can tell if people are answering in good faith and if they meet our qualifications by the answers to our questions, we can just remove these and open them up to a greater pool of people. But maybe we want to say, I only want to talk to people in the United States, and we can do that easily. Okay, reward per assignment. This is how much you're going to pay for someone for successfully completing the hit. I usually do $1 a penny. Okay, number of assignments per hit. So what that means is the number of people who are able to complete this hit. We're going to publish it once, but if I change this to 4, that means that 4 people have the ability to actually complete this hit, the same hit. And what that means is I can get up to 4 phone calls from this hit. Now, why 4 as opposed to 25, the number of people that I actually maybe want to interview? If I put 25 in here, what we're going to see is that I have potential for 25 people to all give themselves the hit and do this work at the same time, which means I could get 25 phone calls all at the same time, which means 24 people are going to get a busy signal, which I don't want. So instead, I'm just going to limit this to 4 for right now, and then if I need to do more interviews later, I can simply republish this hit again until I get all the interviews that I want. Alright, results are automatically approved in. So what this means is after a certain number of days, the hits will automatically be approved if you haven't approved them yourself. So approval is a process that you have full control over. You decide who gets paid and who doesn't. But if you don't do your work, then Amazon will automatically do the approving for you. But instead of a week, I give myself 3 weeks just because there's no reason not to. Maybe I get busy and get distracted. I don't want to just be handing out money to everybody, especially if they tried to cheat me. Alright, so now let's go fix our design. Here is the design of the template they made for us. We don't care about that. We're going to go into edit HTML source, get rid of all that other stuff, and then we're just going to paste in the HTML that's in the blog post. If I click edit HTML source again, you'll see this gives us the description of the actual work to be done. If you are a parent who picks up your kids at daycare once a week, call us for a 5 to 10 minute phone survey. Here, obviously, you're going to enter your actual Google Voice phone number. Yeah, down here's the password. Now, the password is what we use to verify that someone's actually done our work. On Mechanical Turk, someone could accept this hit and then just type in some gibberish and say, yes, I'm done. I completed your phone interview without actually calling us. So we use the password to verify that we only pay the people who've called us and answered our questions in good faith. Right, so we've designed our template now. Let's take a look, make sure it looks okay. And we see our properties, we see the reward, we see the qualifications required, and everything looks good here. And then we're going to go and click Finish. Now, this Finish doesn't actually create our hit and make it available for people on the web to actually complete. All it does is it creates our project. To actually deploy it and get phone interviews, we have to click New Batch. So here I am, I've got my project, I just named Customer Interviews Daycare, I click New Batch. And now you can see the same stuff we saw before, description of the hit and actual content. I scroll down, I can click Next, and you'll see the summary, how much I'm going to actually end up paying to do all this work. So you can see here that I've got one hit in this batch, so that's one hit, times the number of people who can assign it to themselves. That was 4. I said there can be up to 4 people who have this hit at a time and trying to give me a call. Reward per assignment is $1 and a penny, and then Amazon adds on a 10% fee. So I'm going to pay $4.44 for 4 interviews. They automatically take that away from my balance. I'm prepaying for all of it. Of course, I won't actually end up paying for all of it because maybe I don't get all 4 calls, or I get some people who call and hang up, and I won't pay those guys. But they make you prepay as if everyone is going to complete the assignment. Then I click Publish Hits. And now the hits will be made available online for anybody to complete. And the way we can tell if they're available online is this 0% published will change to 100% published. Ta-da! So that means that our one hit is now available, and we should be able to find it on mturk. So if I go to mturk.com, so this is where requesters are going to go, Turkers are going to go to do their work. If we search for daycare, we should see that the hit actually shows up. You can see it's mine, and I can view a hit in this group. Again, this is what a Turk will actually see when completing the project. So here's the description of the Turk, of the hit, and they can say, okay, well, great, looks like, and obviously if my real Google Voice number was there, it looks like they could do it. They can't actually submit results for this hit because they haven't accepted it. The first thing I gotta do is accept it. So instead of saying accept it, I'm taking responsibility, I will do this hit. If for some reason they decide not to, or they can't do it, they'll hit return hit and it'll go back into the pool. That means that I have now basically claimed one of the 4 assignments for this hit that's available. So if I was an actual Turker, I would call the number that was there, we'd do the phone interview, and after we were all done, if I answered the questions in good faith and actually met the criteria that were specified here, the person doing the interview would give me the actual password, the valid password. So let's say the password was cherries. And I go in and I would click submit. So let's do that. So now I can see from the interviewer side what happens in that case. So I go back to manage, and you'll see on my manage tab, this will automatically refresh and let me know when someone has completed my hit. Sometimes it takes a couple seconds. And there we go. So we can see that one of my 4 assignments has been completed, and as the requester, I can actually see the password that was typed in. So you can imagine a scenario where the person just accepted the hit and typed in some gibberish. I would see that here in the answer section. So it would be some gibberish or some fake password, and then I would go in and I would click this button here and I'd say reject, and I wouldn't have to pay for that hit and it would get thrown back in the pool for someone else to go and complete. Now, because the answer was actually cherries, the correct password, I'm going to go in here and click approve. And just like that, I've paid the person that has completed the interview, and I have one more interview in the bag, and they have $1. Alright, so one other thing that you might need to do, if at some point you want to reframe or rephrase the interview, or you want to do something else, you can always go back into your Manage tab and you can hit Cancel to cancel this batch. Alright, so that's what it takes to set up Mechanical Turk to do your customer interviews. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask. Best of luck.